The Process, a podcast about creativity and experimental music. In the world of experimental music, outcomes and accolades for creators can be uncertain and at times seem far and few between. Therefore, creators and practitioners of experimental music must embrace the one thing they will always have complete control over: the process. This podcast aims to understand this creative process by listening to new works and discussing them with their creators. Each episode focuses on one creator and their music. Understanding how and why they create can inform aspiring creatives and help audiences better understand and navigate experimental music. I'm Dr. Doug Bielmeyer, and I'll be your host as we explore the world of experimental music, creativity, and the human need to find purpose in their world and lives. This is The Process.
If I'm not creating something within like 2 or 3 days,
Yeah.
my mind kind of tends to start like getting a little,
Do you
stir
get
crazy.
do you get on
Yeah,
edge? You get a little
I do. I
moody?
do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've kind of taken that as I need to create something. If it's anything, if it's just banging out a beat on a drum machine or just,
Right.
cranking up the modular and making some crazy sounds. So I think it's just kind of an internal, some sort of internal spring that makes me like, hey, you need to make something.
Yeah.
You got to get whatever this is out of you.
Yeah.
As far as external influences,
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to a ton of DJ sets.
Right.
I listen to a lot of I listen to a lot of stuff, a lot of streaming stuff as well. Not necessarily that's going to influence my techno music,
Sure.
but it gets me into a musical mindset. And to be honest,
Yeah.
there's constantly
Right.
music going on in my head. So
Right.
I'm either tapping out beats or
Yeah.
making noise with my mouth.
Right.
I think I just kind of draw inspiration from that.
Mhm.
I do I do geek out on new modules and stuff like that.
Right.
And every time I got a couple of them that I just got that I'm dying to get in my case.
Yep.
As soon as I have like two
Mm.
weeks between a set,
Sure. So
I'm
that
gonna
it
just
doesn't sabotage the whole thing. Yeah.
exactly. I'm gonna dismantle and then I'll jump into
Yeah.
a new module and that'll
Yeah.
inspire me to make some new stuff. I just put another new one in here
Yeah.
that I could actually just kind of jimmy in there. There
Yeah.
was just enough space to put it in there without
Yeah.
disrupting the whole case.
Yeah.
So that one's been inspiring as well. So yeah, I definitely get inspired by modules and new gear. So
Yeah, and this idea of, whether it be mixing or making a beat or, being creative in some way, they have hooked people's brains up to, brain scanners and found that especially like with mixing, you reach sort of this like meditative state when people are mixing, they can often. So I
mm,
mean, this idea that maybe we're creating, but we're also kind of, sort of replenishing our our level. If we're operating at a level 5, on a normal day, if we don't create, that keeps inching up into the danger zone. But yeah, so that's fantastic. Like you kind of have this urge, this need to do it.
hmm
Um, and it kind of sounds like then you are going to a piece of technology. So you're not going to a page, written notes. You're not going to some other type of instrument, or you're going specifically towards technology.
Yeah, I'll jump right on there's the stuff that I use live,
Hmm.
and I'll either pull up, the modular stuff is it's all improv, but like
Yeah,
the drum machine, I have a
yeah,
bunch of patterns on there. I'll
sure.
either pull something up there or I'll start with something new,
Hmm.
and then just start from there. And I typically don't have any plan when I sit down to create. It's
Yeah,
just whatever comes out is going to come out.
right.
Most likely, I do a lot of techno, so I almost always start with a kick
Sure.
and I
Yeah,
build on that, and
yeah.
I let the sound take me where it's going to take me. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Kind of establish that one, and then just go go
exactly,
go from there. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Well, so you mentioned just in a previous conversation that we had that you've kind of gone completely modular, or as completely modular as one can. So how has that affected your process? Do you find, first of all, why did you switch to a more modular centric focus, and then how has that affected your process?
Sure. So just to back up a little bit, when I first started doing live stuff, I think it was 2022.
Hmm.
It's funny, I got inspired by New England
Hmm.
Synth Fest to start
Sure.
doing this. I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I not doing this stuff live? Been
Right.
producing for years. So,
Right. Yeah.
and I saw a lot of people doing modular. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's see what I can do. So I did. I jumped into the modular stuff,
Hmm.
and I think it was a little overwhelming at first, because I hadn't worked that way before. I worked almost all exclusively in software.
Hmm.
Um, so I did a few shows with modular, and I used one of the smaller Electron model cycles boxes
Sure.
to run my drums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when I initially did that, I was doing a lot I tried to like kind of sort of plan my sets out. I
Hmm.
had sequences planned out and different sounds that I knew I wanted to play.
Right.
Um, but eventually I felt like I ran into a wall.
Mm.
Um, and then I started researching more of the Electron gear,
Yeah.
and
What
it
was the
just
wall specifically? Was it just that you were kind of limited as to, what you could do, or as far as layering or sequencing?
I think I it's kind of hard to put words to it, but I think it felt like um I didn't know the equipment well enough, and
Hmm.
it didn't sort of seem to, it didn't really kind of click with the way my brain was operating at the time as far
Yeah.
as what I wanted to do live.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, I'm sure you do the same thing. Just you're
Yeah.
constantly looking at gear and new
Right.
stuff that's out there. And so I
Yeah.
started looking at Electron stuff, which obviously is,
Hmm.
you know, ubiquitous everywhere.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, these things look amazing. And I
Yeah.
did have the cycles, so I kind of knew the sequence already, and I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I got to the Digi series, the
Hmm.
Digitact and the Digitone,
Yeah.
and so I jumped on those, and I really took to them quickly,
Great.
and I felt like I could really put stuff together quickly, and they really sort of gelled with the way I wanted to work.
Yeah.
So I performed with those for quite a while. That was kind of been a bulk of my live career
Right.
up until the last like 6, 7 months.
Hmm.
Um, but along that path, I did for each show, I basically created a whole new set,
Hmm.
which was fun, but it could be daunting if
Right.
I had a couple sets close to each other.
Right.
I get maybe 2, 3, 4 days a week if I'm lucky to practice work on stuff.
Sure.
Um, and I also started seeing other people doing stuff that was live and improv.
Hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with Sunshine at Night, but
Hmm.
he does
Yeah.
all improv. And I'm
Hmm.
watching him. I'm like, I want to do improv stuff so I can just show up and
Right.
play.
Right.
That's what I wanted to do.
And have it be, show up and play and have it be something that's engaging for both
Yeah,
you as the performer and then, an audience or, yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Something and going back to that whole like I just take it as it comes, whatever
Right.
the sound takes me, that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Um, so I had my modular sitting on my shelf like over there.
Yeah.
And
Collecting dust.
every time I'd sit at my little desk and I'd look
Yeah.
down, I was like, why is it still sitting there? It's just like mocking me, like, why
Right.
are you
Right.
not using me?
Yeah.
Um, so eventually I finally pulled it back out, hooked everything back up, and watched a few more videos because those inspired me as well to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Um, and then it was interesting because I took to it way, I don't know what the correct term, but I took to it
Yeah.
way better than I did the first time I was using the
Yeah.
modular because I'd had this like 2+ years of doing live shows. I kind of
Right.
knew what I wanted to do and what
Yeah.
kind of stuff that I wanted to perform. So
Well, isn't that one of the biggest problems? I feel like with any technology, but specifically modular and some of those others, there's no one right way to use it or
yeah,
wrong way to use it. So if you don't have a very specific, like, I want to do ABC, then it's like, well, I don't know. You're just like start turning knobs. But if you have like a vision or a plan, it can help kind of just like limit it a little bit.
yeah, and I did obviously I wanted to keep everything in one case.
Sure.
And I run all my drums on the drum machine.
Right.
And then I have four voices,
Hmm.
plus the DFAM. So I kind of basically have five voices that I can play. So I'm limited to just those.
Yeah.
Those are my improv. And everything else on there is modulation, sequencing, and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's been interesting and it's been pretty eye-opening, figuring out how to play live and how to do improv.
Hmm.
And it's a lot more freeing, and I feel like
Hmm.
I could go for hours now if I needed to or I could.
Sure.
I could play for hours. Just I
Yeah.
load up a bunch of drum loops and stuff. I can use generic stuff on my drum machine,
Mhm.
and just improv on the modular stuff for hours. And I've done it here at home. When I get into a groove, I just
Yeah.
I,
Time
I,
disappears. Yeah.
yeah, it does, and it's
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the Patchwork series is put on at Zuzu in Cambridge.
Mm-hmm.
And there's three guys that run it.
Mm-hmm.
There's Mike, Ben, and Henry.
Mm-hmm.
They run the sound.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they
Mm-hmm.
curate the artists as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry usually runs visuals
Mm-hmm.
and performs some of the
Mm-hmm.
during some of the shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's a showcase for local electronic artists.
Great.
And the guy, I think we're coming up on. I'll be playing October 2nd, I think, whatever the Thursday is.
Yep.
It's every first Thursday of the month.
Great.
This is going to be number 19.
Wow.
So it's been going on for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Beautiful Machines
Yeah. Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
I recall one of the guys was telling me it was kind of born out of that
Great.
when Tom left.
Yeah.
He kind of left that hole, and I think these guys took it over. So
Great.
rebranded it, and it's been
Mm-hmm.
going on. Like I said, for 19, it's going to be 19 shows now.
Wow.
It's a great crowd.
Yeah.
It's a mix of all different kinds of people from the area. You
Yeah.
got the college students, and then you got
Yeah.
the non-college students that come in and just
Yeah.
want some weird, crazy electronic music. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And what is it mostly? Is it experimental? Is it, straight up dance? Is it techno? Is it IDM? Is it industrial? Is it all those things?
For the most part, it's stuff that doesn't have a beat, so it tends to be more
Mm-hmm.
danceable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There are several techno artists that I've seen
Mm-hmm.
come in there.
Mm-hmm.
Metal Tiger,
Right.
he's going to play a set here
Great.
next time for this upcoming set.
Yeah.
Doom's Droid as well.
Right.
Um, so it's kind of like I said, it tends to be in the more danceable
Sure.
region of stuff.
Yeah.
But they do accept all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
electronic artists. So
How do you decide? How do you like build something for 40 minutes? Because that sounds like really limited. Like we just talked
yeah,
about like having the limitations is like really important
yeah.
because you could bring everything in the kitchen sink. But how do you then use those items to kind of make a longer term, almost an hour set? Um, what are some strategies? Are do you go in with a basic form or a basic idea of like you want to start down tempo and build it up? Or is it really just on the spot?
Sure. And it's funny, like one of the things I was concerned about when I got
Hmm.
back into the modular, like, is
Hmm.
this going to be enough? Because
Right.
you always want
Yeah,
to have
you get
enough
20 minutes.
options.
You get 20 minutes in, and you're like, "Oh man, everything
Where do I
feels
go?
stale." Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to have
Hmm.
the options, but I
Right.
also don't want to be overwhelmed. So
Sure.
so
Yeah.
I do start pretty much every set with a kind of a droney sound. Like I said, I listen to a lot of DJ sets, and a
Sure.
lot of the ones I got into, they start with this kind of like I'm gonna
Right.
pull you in.
Yeah.
This is my space now that I'm gonna
Hmm.
pull you into, and that's kind of
Hmm.
what I try to create is like
Hmm.
whatever you just heard, that's not me. This is you're coming into my spot now. So I'm
Right.
gonna pull you in with this little ambience, this little drone thing, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna slowly build it up. So I will start with probably the Laquelic or the Platts
Hmm.
and bring some sort of basically something with no release on it. It's just this droney sort of
Yeah.
oscillating form going on, and then I'll start adding modulations to that as well as I
I
slowly
noticed in this
build
set,
up.
it began with kind of the kind of distorted sort of droney bass
Hmm.
thing. And it seemed like there was a real focus, at least at the start of this set, on kind of a more sort of distorted industrial sound. Was that something you had planned for this set, or was that like, hey man, we turned some knobs up and that's how we're starting it?
If I remember correctly,
Hmm.
I had been listening to this live act.
Hmm.
They kind of DJ, but they're using
Hmm.
Ableton.
Sure.
There's two guys, and
Yeah.
they have this sound that's really it doesn't really fit in a lot of the techno I've heard. I mean,
Right.
it's almost like they're
Yeah.
trying to create the most out there sounds, but make them
Right.
fit into this rhythmic
Right.
scheme.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of influenced by that, and I was
Yeah.
just trying to create the most noisy but still
Yeah.
musical kind of
Right. Yeah.
sound. So I think that heavily influenced that set.
That's
Um,
great.
I can't pronounce the name of the group. It's like
Yeah.
SHXCX. It's a bunch of vowel or consonants.
Vowels. So
Yeah.
they're highly accessible a band. You can't
Yes,
even say the name. Yeah.
they're tough to find.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then like I said, I'll start with that sort of pull in
Mhm.
sort of sound,
Mhm.
and then build that up, draw in, pull in the
Yeah.
cymbals to create the rhythm, get everybody kind of in that moving
Yeah.
mood instead of the kind of lackadaisical mood. And then from there, I'll just, as soon as I feel it and I'm ready to, the kick drums comes in, and then it's time to
Yeah.
go at it, you know. Obviously with techno, it's you want people to dance.
Right.
And I want to make stuff that makes me move. Ultimately, I'm doing this for me.
Right.
When people show up, awesome. If they move to it, even better.
Great.
Um, so I do try to I like to move myself. I don't like to stand there and just,
Yeah.
obviously 45 minutes to an hour, it's going to get a little tough to be crazy and jumping all over the
Right.
place. Um, but I have started to incorporate even more like hand movements and kind of
Yeah.
exaggerated motions
Right.
when I'm
Yeah.
like sweeping a filter or something like that. So they
Yeah.
see that I'm actually doing this stuff, and
Yeah.
they understand that, oh, this guy's actually manipulating stuff. He's not just
Yeah.
mashing a button and okay, somebody else's song is coming out.
Right.
Um, and 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 there are times when I'm really feeling the energy,
Yeah.
excuse me, that I'll just look out into the crowd and I'll raise my hand and I'll scream like, yeah. And they will
Yeah.
respond. And like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
raises the energy of the room. So,
Yeah.
I do try to be animated and
Yeah.
act like I'm in the crowd with them. So I want them to move. And so I'm going to move too.
One of the other things I've noticed you incorporate in your set is like having actual moments where you're adding effects in real time and you're turning a specific knob. So you're like kind of giving us that visual cue that like, hey, like some of this stuff is canned, some of it's a pattern, some of it's, sequencing, but then, hey, right on the spot here, I'm adding this like effects delay onto the snare and that you're seeing that one to one. Is that something you try to do sort of intentionally, or is that just something you kind of have the effects in front of you there, and if it happens, it happens?
I think it's half and half. Sometimes I do it
Yeah,
intentionally. Other times it's just I'm responding to what's going on, and that's how
Yeah.
I move.
Yeah.
So
What do
yeah,
you think about other things like video? Like obviously, like a lot of other people in the community, they incorporate dance, video, other things like that. I know even at this Patchwork series, there is, in your set, we can actually see there's video
mhm.
playing behind you. So do you think that stuff is like essential, or do you think like in a bright room with white walls, you could still do your show just by your performance and the sound?
Um,
I
I
mean, that sounds like a
do.
horrible show, but
Well, I mean, I do tend to obviously techno is a very underground thing,
right,
so I do tend to prefer darker rooms
right,
with flashing lights. I do like the visuals. I do like lights and stuff like
yeah,
that. I think it does add to the ambience. And
yeah,
I think different people respond to different things. Some
yeah,
people do enjoy the visuals and they want
mhm,
something if maybe they're not totally into the music at that point. Maybe
right,
the visuals will inspire them, like, oh my God, that's fucking awesome. It goes with
yeah,
the responding to the music that way.
yeah,
Um, so I do think it is an added element that adds a lot to the show.
yeah,
Um, I think it would be pretty boring if it was just me in a room with my music,
yeah,
and there wasn't some sort of ambience
yeah,
around it
yeah,
to pull people in. And again, like with the dark room thing, I think
yeah,
people feel a little bit safer and
right,
more less vulnerable to
yeah,
dance and move in a
yeah,
darker room.
yeah.
So so yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's kind
totally
of
different vibe if it's like conference room B or something like that.
absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Well, Alan, this has been fantastic talking to you about your set, about your music, and all the work you do right here in the area. Before I let you go,
mhm.
can you tell us where we can go to find out more about your music, maybe watch some of your other sets, and then even take a listen to your most recent album?
Sure. You can find all my music that I've released on Bandcamp at NoizCode. I do have some stuff on Spotify, which I haven't sent much stuff there lately.
Hmm.
But Bandcamp has a ton of stuff on there. Um, I've got a ton of stuff on YouTube. You just go to just search for NoizCode, and you'll find a
Hmm.
ton of my live shows and sets that I've recorded. I'm on Instagram, which is usually where I post where I'm going to be, and I'll post a lot of short clips, stuff that I'm working on, just quick little inspirational stuff that I've recorded at home. Where else? Where else? Where
And the
else?
next Patchwork is coming up, you said, on October 2nd, right?
Patchwork on October 2nd, and also in November 6th. And also, I will be playing at the Parlor in Providence on October 15th. That
Oh,
actually is going to be an ambient show. I'm kind
oh,
of
cool.
delving into
Nice.
ambient experimental stuff too.
Yeah,
So I'm
great.
expanding my repertoire.
But
So
that one won't be in a brightly lit room, conference
it
room B,
won't.
for sure,
No,
for sure.
it'll definitely be in a dark room. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Thanks to Alan, aka NoizCode, for sharing his time and music with us. If you enjoyed this episode, please check out other episodes in the series and like, subscribe, or leave a comment on your preferred podcasting app. I'm Dr. Doug Bielmeyer, and this has been The Process.